everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today we are taking a closer look at two construction vehicles, the dump truck and loader, designed by the builder Fukusaku. These are some amazingly detailed, both classic and contemporary construction vehicles in LEGO minifig scale. Before we talk about these models, first I'd like to say that the instructions can be found at our web store www.brickvault.toys, linked in the description below if you ever wanted to build these for yourself. With each purchase comes the PDF step-by-step guide for building and a parts list for fast ordering on websites like Bricklink. We physically test each of the models, reduce rarer pieces, and create instructions that can be simply followed. If you buy from us, you will be able to make this model on your own, and getting instructions is an excellent way to help support the channel so we can keep having, and I really do mean this, the best job in the world. So anyways, you can click that link in the description below. We partner with the top talent of builders from all over the world like Fukusaku, and buying instructions is a great way to help support both us and everyone that we build with. So jumping straight into the models, the dump truck looks mostly like a Mercedes-Benz Arocs. We've created a little graphic, in fact, that could be printed out and stuck onto the front here in case you'd like to add a little detail. There are several variations of this truck in real life, and I believe that this most closely resembles the 3240K, which I also think is the most popular version of this truck. The loader here is a combination of a few popular designs over the many years and iterations of this thing being around, and it's not as heavily influenced by one single real-life model like the dump truck is. These builds both really have some special techniques and interactive features, and I'd like to start off by looking closer at the loader first. So right off the bat, you'll see some pretty involved or advanced techniques that give it a much more detailed edge over a standard model. An immediate visual technique seen here is the doubled up wheels. Another larger set of tires is wrapped around the smaller set. This gives the impression that the construction vehicle has those gargantuan treads that really are a signature look for a loader, but no single LEGO wheel actually matches that too closely. The yellow body of this model is proportionate, and it's also smooth and sloping in the back, resembling this area probably closer to a Liebherr design of a loader than anything else. I particularly like the gradation behind the wheel well here that adds a bit more body to the model, and underneath the cab the build remains yellow with a short ladder to match, and lots of great details are done in black. The hot dog end is the perfect size to fit into the pneumatic T-piece. This is something I never realized was possible, but it meshes out the handrail almost seamlessly. Frankly, it's just a really clever little technique. The droid arms clipped in with the tile line up well next to the slope over the front wheel and create a specific thin curve that no single piece in LEGO can actually make. Now in front we have the really fun loader function. When you tilt the boom up, the bucket pivots upwards in tandem, and this is achieved with a series of clip connections in the center. The bucket synchronizes parallel to the ground when it reaches the bottom and is able to scoop high over the cab when it's at its highest point. The center connection that forces this pivot to happen also creates just enough extra friction so that the bucket will stay in any position you want it to stay in. And also the series of clips in the center there imitates the bell crank, and you can also change the orientation of the bucket at different heights as well. This whole function is super easy to use, very strong, and if you're careful, the model can actually be picked up by the bucket, in fact. Fukusaku, the designer, made it an absolute breeze to get into the cab. There are just two half pins that keep this assembly in place, and once removed, you couldn't ask for more minifigure access. This figure is stuck in by two studs, so it's easy to place in and out, and also this rather large subassembly that we've removed is really strong and won't break apart into any weird pieces when you're removing it. Very quickly, here's underneath the model so you can see the connection between the front and rear body. Nothing fancy, just a strong, simple connection. And this loader is just awesome. I didn't imagine we'd be making custom construction vehicles on the channel, as it's not something that I normally focus on, but it is just so impressively built. Now the Arocs is no different. I have to start with the visuals of the cab, no question about it. Fukusaku changes stud orientation here frequently and with purpose. This little section here by the door changes studs 3 times in the space of a 1x2 brick, and it allows for the nice curvy slope to line up in the front by the grills, it captures the downward slope at the bottom of the window and helps also draw the eye towards the black wheel well below. That's just one little example here, but the cab truly captures some amazing visual cues from the Arocs that you'd only be able to notice if you studied the real-life accuracies of the vehicle very closely. No single windscreen piece is shaped quite the right size for these dimensions, so the builder created some unique connections to form-fit one of his own. It can be seen a little easier on the inside, so once again, the top comes off clean, and there is plenty of space for figs. The driver has a big steering wheel here, which is nice, and technically these guys don't stud in, but the fitting here is relatively snug, and once the roof is on, they definitely don't wobble around. It's time to shift back, though, to the back half of the model, more like 3/4 really. The big red bed has some great curves on the outside. Even when you're looking closer to the piston, when it lifts up, you can see the container. There are some wedge plates and slopes to help gradate this wall a little bit more smoothly. In the back, the tailgate lifts up from a simple tile stud connection, and the piston behind the cab has plenty of friction to keep the bed raised, or held at different heights, just like the loader. This function looks great. It works consistently. You can pull the piston all the way out if you go too far, but you can pop it right back in place. And now let's get into the handling of the models. It's decently casual for both of these vehicles, but they are not built directly for play. The dump truck is heavy, like a brick. The bottom wheels and any kind of detailing down here is strong, minus the mud flaps in the back. Those little bits will break off, but basically picking it up from anywhere on the underside is no problem. You can pick up the dump truck by the red bed as well, or the front cab. These are not weak areas, but for custom builds, I will always recommend the simplest, easiest way to move a model around, which is 99% of the time picking it up just from the bottom. Now, the same goes for the loader. The bucket is strong, but if you choose to carry the loader by the bucket, you are flirting with danger, essentially. For either build, though, any of the details that are small and thin will usually break off when you mess around, but nothing is connected in a way that requires a weird rebuild or a special kind of touch to reconnect. So anyways, for final thoughts, I love that the main body of the cab on the Arocs is 7 studs wide. I think that is a perfect dimension for a fig scale construction vehicle. The loader scales really well too, though this vehicle's shape and size is generally more fluid with all of its real world variations, and the building techniques found in these models are no joke. There's a good chance that if you build these on your own, you'll find a connection or two or several that you haven't seen before. If you wanted to build either of these models, the instructions, once again, can be found at our web store, www.brickvault.toys, if you click the links below. This was fun visiting and building some classic vehicles from a top talent builder's perspective. Like always, let me know what types of custom creations you want to see next. If you like what we do here, you can always like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.